Hello everybody and welcome back. This is week number 1 of the EU portion of the Quake World Championship qualifiers. So we're down to our top 16 players in our dual tournament. We've seen 2 series already. So the 2 players that will be moving on will be Zron, who already made it through the first series, and Noctis, who won the second series. But we're going into our set number 3, which is strenx versus Nitrino.
So, like I said before the break, this is an example of 2 players that we actually haven't seen on the stream itself. So, both of these guys qualified on Thursday, but we didn't see anything of them on the way. Let's not forget there were 700 people that signed up.
So a lot of games.
I'm assuming that's a lot of people that we only have so much time to stream certain games, and we just physically cannot do everyone. But that's the beauty of this today. You know, these playoffs today, where it's the best 16 players of the week, and we get to see all of them, and that's what we get to see today. Now, I'm excited to see what sort of champions we see selected, because today, by itself, we're seeing a lot of sort of the familiar faces, a lot of Nyx, some Anarchy, one Anarchy, Noctis, because of how well he's been playing overall. But I think a big one is specific champions for specific maps, and that's what we're seeing more than anything else.
Now, it's kind of funny that you should mention that, really, because Nitrino has actually had one of my favourite matches so far, which was in 125 FPS. It was Nitrino versus Cooler, and Nitrino ended up making a really good comeback against Cooler with Galena on Corrupted Keep.
That was Nitrino in that game.
That was the match where it was the totem on the heavy armor and the rocket.
I know the one you're talking about.
The rocket versus Cooler's Blaskovich just threw the greatest gravity known to man, just hit him, and it just happened to put him down directly on the totem. It fragged him in like a 2-piece combo, and then he got a good spawn on the Ranger and finished it off. And it was a really good comeback that put Nitrino, I believe, if memory serves me well, into grand finals of that tournament versus Toxic. So it was a really good performance from him. He is definitely seen as a superb player. Then again, strenx, on the other hand, is also, I mean, every player in this top 16 is superb. Strenx is no exception. This guy is phenomenal as well. And we're expecting a good series. We've had some really good games so far, and I'm expecting this one to be no different.
Well, let's not forget, you know, Toxic versus Ron, we were told to expect, you know, a Toxic, I don't want to say free win, but, you know, a strong assumption
Everyone
that Toxic
kind of
would win.
saw him as the favourite,
Yeah.
but we all knew Zron was good, but he played so well in that series.
And that set came down to, that series came down to 2-1 in Zron's favour, with 2 overtimes of the last final rounds. They went on for quite a while, down to the last frag twice in a row. And then after that, Noctis versus Luminous. Noctis with quite a comfortable 2-0, I think, overall. But Luminous definitely showing signs of life, especially early on in that series. So we expect to see what we're going to see here with our third. Let's not forget, we've got plenty left to come today. Obviously, we've got plenty of duel left, and then Salvation, Sacrifice, Salvation. What am I talking
That's
about?
not even close to the same word. But either way, we have 8 matches lined up, and this will be number 3, so we have plenty good to go. And then obviously we have Sacrifice afterwards, which will be 4 matches between 2 teams each. So there's plenty of Quake left throughout the course of the day. But our third series, I'm really excited to see, because as you mentioned, we haven't seen, at least on this broadcast, you know, on the sort of the Quake Champions stuff, we haven't seen a huge amount of them in the World Championship. But no doubt we're going to see these guys now, and it's going to be some good games. You mentioned champion picks. Obviously, Ruins of Sarnath is the map we're always going to be on, because the map will be predetermined throughout each respective rounds. Obviously, this is the round of 16 in the dual tournament. Immediately, though, we see Nitrino going in with the Nyx first. Now, I think the Russian players in particular, Nyx first is a very popular strategy among those guys. Like, they really seem to rate this character first quite highly. But on the flip side, we have the Scale Bearer, Ranger, and Blaskovich as well. Really finding out who the third champion is. It's going to be Visor on the side of Nitrino, and Galena on the side of strenx.
Now, this interests me, because Galena we don't see much of in duel, but when we do, it's for a very specific reason. And we say this a lot, because it's kind of always relevant whenever she gets picked, but it's that area denial with the totems. Ruins of Sarnath, I actually believe it was Cypher we saw do this once before, where on this map specifically, Galena can be really useful, provided you really get your stuff set up, and that's it. You know, if you can get your totems where they need to be, and then you start controlling the power-ups, you can be quite a nightmare, you know, and duel can seem quite snowbally, where you get a frag, and then you make sure all the power-ups going in your favor, and you make sure that you're keeping control of all the weapons. Galena sort of adds an extra layer to that with the totems, you know, sort of beyond just physically being there to stop them. You then have those sort of like extra elements to stop your opponent from being where they want to be.
Well, Ruins of Sarnath in particular has a lot of areas where, as a player, you kind of can't help but go to certain areas. You have to navigate areas in certain ways because of just the nature of jump pads, which are very prominent on the bottom and at the top. And the teleporters, you know, the teleporter near Rocket Launcher or the teleporter near LG as well. Galena can be a real headache and really force you around certain areas and make it a bit difficult for you. Now, strenx, immediately though, with Galena first, we don't see this very often.
Hopefully it works out for him though. Galena being, like I said, quite a momentum-heavy character. So if you pick her first and then have time to set up for the rest of the time, but that right there is a core problem. If you can see the totem and you're actively fighting Galena, you can destroy it, especially if you've got access to a rocket with that AoE damage.
Now strenx immediately put the totem down near that teleporter entrance, so I think it's pretty clear exactly what strenx has in mind when it comes to putting those down. However, catches him out immediately. Forces the Ghost Walk, but Nitrino using it aggressively. strenx gets caught off guard. Takes one rocket. Can he survive? Oh, but Nitrino doing a little bit of damage to himself with a rocket. That rail taking him down to 4 HP. There's no way Nitrino can run around to fight now. But fortunately, right near the Mega Health, was able to keep himself alive. strenx able to control the heavy armor. Orbi gets caught on the way up. This could be disastrous, and it is. strenx goes down. Nitrino with the first frag of the game. So for the duration of this round, we will not see Galena anymore, which means no more totems going onto the Blaskovets. Caught a really good spawn, though. However, strenx with that vital rail just to stay alive and keep Nitrino from being too aggressive. It's the second time that strenx is able to take Nitrino down to low health, but just hasn't really had the HP himself to follow it up. Quite a common story, I think. If you're going to take damage, at least make sure you're dishing it out just as good. But again, that heavy armor's going to spawn and strenx onto it.
Well, this is Blaskovets versus Nyx now, though, so provided strenx can catch her without the Ghost Walk available, that should be Shred City with the dual wield.
Well, that's going to be the important element right now, is making sure that when you go in for your dual wield, make sure her Ghost Walk is down, otherwise she'll basically just completely nullify on reaction. And these guys do have reactions.
It's almost part of being a good Quake player, right? It's being able to see what's going on, know where they're going to be, and then react to if they are there where you think they're going to appear. And then this heavy armor's picking up any second now. Nitrino's probably going to grab this. Yeah, you can tell the hesitation, because as soon as he picks it up, strenx is going to hear that he's down here. Absolutely. Or maybe Nitrino's just trying to bait with it.
But strenx definitely knows a thing or two about duel. Second at QuakeCon 2011 for Quake Live. So I mean, it's in this
not a bad
kind of
accolade going into this.
No, in this kind of competitive setting, especially in duel for a Quake World Championship, which does conclude at QuakeCon. You know, some of these players, they've been there before. You know, this is not their first rodeo.
strenx quite low on health, though he has to be really careful. Nitrino quite slow and steady, but still with a very strong lead. Catches him point blank. No, he misses the rail. That could have been disastrous. And strenx with that massive damage to Destruct, but he's still going to get the frag. Nitrino with 1 HP surviving. You know, strenx is not going to be happy about that one.
I don't think strenx actually knew that he survived with 1 HP, but if he knew, I think it would just make him feel so much worse. I mean, when that happens, it's like a great situation if you're the one that survives, but if not, it's like, ah, that should have traded. And it does a lot to your morale, that's for sure.
Unfortunately for strenx, though, Nitrino, a 2-champion lead right now and looking like he's not slowing down whatsoever.
Well, speaking of slowing down, if Nitrino wants to slow the match down to a snail's pace, he can definitely do that. There's 2 minutes left on this round in particular, but again, he's got that champion advantage.
Oh, is this going to be a fight?
No doubt.
Ghost Walk, so he can get out if he needs to.
Oh, he did minimal damage, actually, but even though strenx did that point-blank rocket, because he's playing as Ranger, he's going to do minimal damage to himself because of that passive.
Yeah, he's predicting he's going towards the heavy armor now. Can't see him, isn't going to take the shot.
Yeah, not a huge amount he can do about that one. strenx getting the mega health as well. Sort of trying to ride that wall across.
Definitely, you see how crucial it is to when you're being these like squishier champions like Nyx and Anarchy specifically, having that armor very important just so you can survive the big heavy weapons like the rail or the direct rockets, which we see do so much damage all the time.
The thing is, Nitrino has been able to survive for essentially 1 minute already, and that's already half the work done when it comes to playing this defensive game. So right now, it's
speaking of 1 minute, yep, 1 minute away from time out on this first round, and Nitrino with this 2-champion comeback.
strenx,
oh no!
Yeah, he did not expect him to be there, but he didn't catch the rocket, but they do trade lightning gun for rocket, and Nitrino does take that first round. He's on the board. You know, that's a good start for him.
Not a problem at all losing that trade, though, especially if it's the last champion and guarantees the round. I don't think he's going to care about that whatsoever, but still very strong and stable.
Now, here we go.
Back to Galena. First pick. I mean, it really seems to be important that when you have this Galena that you have time to really get that first frag and set things up. I mean, just like that, right? You know, throwing those totems at the teleporter exits, and unlike that one, it's unlikely that you're going to be walking towards that.
Now, sometimes, though, with Nyx in particular, though, she can almost, like, safely navigate around the totems, because on some of these maps, she can sort of almost, like, use her wall jump to go up certain points that normally you would need to teleport, or you would need to jump pad. She doesn't need to do any of those things, which means that she is less likely to run into those totems. As you can see as well, strenx now noticed that his totem is gone, so he knows that Nitrino must have taken it out.
Yeah, of course. And that's
oh, he got caught off guard again, was not ready. using that defensive totem again, just at the very least, just waste a rocket.
Or stop Nitrino from chasing him down there. You can see how little health Nitrino has. He's going to get killed by a totem if he stands in it at that life. Maybe not now he's got the armor,
well,
but
bear
at
in
the time,
mind, I mean, a totem does 75 damage, right? And you look at Nyx's max health, which is very much around a similar number value. So if she runs into a totem with no armor, she can almost get one shot if she steps on a totem at a bad time.
Oh, that rocket coming through, not going to connect though. He's going to take the careful. Misses the rail. But he doesn't have an LG, so this fight's going to be rocket launcher and rail or bust.
I was just about to point that out as well. Actually sitting on the totem, really good defensive play, preventing Nitrino from getting too close. And the rail to snatch it away. And now strenx with a frag on board instead.
Oh, we can hear the scale bearer charge. Oh, walks straight back down into his path, but it does run out in time. And he takes it down. Wow, wonderful round from strenx. Galena doing so much work right now, and the totem's up now, so he can go for the health if he wants to.
Again, denying that jump pad. Bear in mind, it's going to be Visor. He's not going to have that sort of air movement that some champions have. If he jumps into that totem, it's going to be big damage, especially now he's just eaten a rail as well. There were two totems in play. I think he's destroyed one of them.
Yeah, the one near the other teleporter exit, but the one down near the launch pad, near the heavy armor is still available, but might not even matter if he can connect this rail though. Nitrino with barely any health left whatsoever, but strenx unfortunately missing two of them.
But it's very useful for Galena in some areas as well. There, just look at the fact she's instantly back to 100 health before she even starts to fight for this heavy armor. She may have not been able to tank that rail if she got hit before she used the totem, but because she had the heal, that self-heal that does so much for her, it was a very pivotal decision and runs into a rail as well. Galena looking pretty solid on this map, I have to say.
Hey, strenx woke up big time. I mean, the work he was putting in there with the rail by itself, but just like you said, right, utilizing that champion utility, that totem, the area denial, but mainly, more than anything else, the heal. The heal is what prevailed there in that round.
Absolutely.
It topped him up so many different times.
But in instances where it's like, right, well, this champion's weak, and now they have to run and almost go for like a predictable pathing as they navigate and try and collect those 25 healths or the 25 armor. But in this case, she can basically give herself a lot more health than a regular pickup whenever she wants. And at the same time, it doubles up as area denial on that jump pad. So if strenx needs it, he can now run back and grab the health.
But also, I mean, she's going to have plenty of tokens though, because obviously that passive that her ability cooldown is reduced when she picks up health packs. It means if you do hurt her in a fight, when she goes and heals up, she's likely to have a totem way faster than you're going to have your ability back.
Nitrino being aggressive does manage to get that sneak attack once again. And he's going to have that first frag. And very importantly, again, taking Galena away from strenx seems to be quite an important decision at the very beginning.
We'll have to see if he can do the same amount of work with his Blazkowicz.
We've
already seen Nitrino do really well in that first round with Nyx on his own.
Ever so slightly missed that rail as well. Hair's length, I think. But again, it's going to be Nyx versus Blazkowicz. I really feel like Nyx does a really decent job versus this champion because, again, the dual wield is so prominent, but that Ghost Walk just nullifying it completely. And they both have quite long cooldowns, so it's fair to assume. Hang on a minute, strenx looking for the reappear, but Nitrino definitely does not have the health to fight.
Heavy armor is up though, so Nitrino's going to be able to keep himself topped up. Strenx though with plenty of health to work with. I think he just picked up the Mega.
Yep, they both traded heavy armor for Mega health once again. But because of the pay attention as well to the length of the cooldown. For the Ghost Walk is about 40 seconds, and for the dual wield is about 50. It's fair to assume that when they next have their ability available, they both will have it ready.
But right now, sort of being slowed down once again. Nitrino really sort of hovering around this Mega. I think he just really wants to make sure that he A, has the timer on this, and B, has that health. Because, you know, if you are against Blazkowicz, he's going to be having a ton of health over you, and there's this shred potential. You need as much health as you can get just to survive.
They are taking the Mega health. I think he's not really expecting going in for a preemptive dual wield just in case Nitrino went in for the kill, but he's taken big damage and strenx as well. They're really trading big damage for big damage at this point.
Indeed, picking up a couple of these hourglasses though, just to get that Ghost Walk back as often as possible. We kind of need that in every fight. If you can help it, and that airborne rocket direct!
And he lands on, I mean, that was just a 38% rocket. It wasn't even that much, but he'd taken so much damage because of that delicious direct hit. And now strenx back onto his Ranger.
Oh, gets tagged by the rail though, Ranger. Expecting to come back by himself, but Nitrino looking really strong right now, just controlling the Mega health more than anything else, just making sure he's as topped up as possible. I mean, considering the amount of health he's surviving these fights with, controlling this Mega health is what I think is winning him the round.
Absolutely, because he's surviving and then basically immediately topping himself back up to full health. When he goes into the Mega health, he's going to be overcharged, so he's going to tank rails, especially with the armor that he's got on deck. Strenx is going to have to almost every time do like double the work that he would normally have to. Oh, the prediction rocket on the teleport doesn't quite work out. He had the read, but not the timing. And now, again, forced to use his Ghost Walk defensively. He's not going to have it for about 35 seconds.
I think he's going to mind, though. Oh, the rail doesn't quite connect. You can tell strenx is trying to line it up. He tags one.
And now he knows he hasn't got the Ghost Walk. He can be as aggressive as he likes, but he can't get it. He misses the rail. And because of it, Nitrino manages to clean that one up. Crazy stuff.
That's unfortunate, but I mean, round 2-1.
Right, so 3 out of 5 rounds though, bear in mind. Still one more.
Once again, Nitrino already actually quite a convenient spawn for how he's been playing this match so far.
Absolutely, but right now, strenx has been really solid on that Galena. Gets a lightning gun trail as well, takes him out. And there we go, off to a good start already.
That's actually exactly what strenx needs, though. Seems whenever he loses this Galena, he finds it a lot harder to just get stuff going. Already has one totem on the map, though.
Really well placed.
See where he's placed it, but
I think it's actually placed right next to where the heavy armor is. He's actually standing right on it right now. 2 totems. They gave him so much health back, but it wasn't enough. That almost actually saved his life. The 2 totems dishing out individual healing almost gave him the health he needed, but not this time.
Survived with, well, I say barely any health, 67, still quite a lot by smaller character standards, but for Scalebearer, he needs more than that. But the armor by itself, more than enough to just keep him really healthy.
Yeah, I feel like those big champions, the armor helps them really well.
Speaking of big champions, though, strenx is on Blazkowicz right now, so kind of has the perfect choice just to get rid of the Scalebearer if he can get a good sequence going.
Speaking of which, goes in for the dual wield. Wow, the direct 100 damage bull rush. You're almost ready to see that health melt away with the dual wield, but Nitrino with the reactions to just shut him down.
We actually haven't seen many Scalebearer charges actually connect today, so I'm quite happy that we saw one not only connect, but also like decisively make that frag go in Nitrino's favor, right? That 100 damage he dealt just by itself. So significant.
Gonna have the bull rush again. At the same time, though, strenx with the dire orb, he's going to be able to sort of dodge that bull rush if he wants to. As you can see, the heavy armor spawning right now. And very shortly, the mega health will follow.
Oh, no, he misses the pickup. Not too...
Oh, no. Oh, wow. Misses it. However, because he picked up the mega health, he can really afford to make that mistake. He's still got so much health to work with, especially with the rocket. 100 HP! There's more than enough health that he needed, and Nitrino is now 1 game up on strenx.
Indeed he is. That was a really good round for him, though. I mean, that Scalebearer putting in a lot of work. We didn't really get the chance to see too much of Scalebearer overall before that, but obviously now, being a worthy pick. In Scalebearer, we saw him almost every game in Sacrifice, and every now and then in Duel. A lot later on into the stream, we saw him on Thursday, but kind of put to different amounts of use. So definitely nice to see that, you know, again, these players here in this top 16, even though we might not have seen either of these players on Thursday on the stream itself, have got these teams and they're being put to good use. And Scalebearer, particularly on Ruins of Sarnath, seems to be really strong.
He's got a lot of space to run around. You know, I mean, he's got lots of room to build up the charge as well. Because bear in mind, obviously, the longer you charge, the more damage that you do. So he's got lots of space to really build that speed up. But on the flip side, you know, the Galena pick, I really liked seeing it from strenx because you don't really see that champion picked all often. But it was nice to actually see her put to good use, because that one round that strenx took, and it was really dominant, was pretty much a complete wash while using Galena the entire time.
The thing about Galena is that she seems to require a lot of setup to use effectively. Like, for example, the round that strenx was able to take with that Galena by herself, the totems were doing so much work, but they do have quite a lot of cooldown in between them. And even if you're picking up health packs, it requires you to be hurt to do it. So I don't know, unless you shoot yourself with a rocket just to pick it up. Just to,
I feel like in Duel that's actually, I think in Duel that's it's a bit more prominent though, because obviously the passive in team modes like Sacrifice and others, where Galena is likely to take loads of damage anyway, where she's going to consistently be able to collect those small healths and just the little things just put her up. That's when the passive of her having faster cooldown and the abilities will tick when she collects health. In Duel, you pretty much want to be on max health all the time. So unless it's a mega health, you know, the mega health will go down and then you're back at full. And then as long as you're at full, you can't collect anything else. So I don't really feel like in Duel specifically, that passive benefits her as much as it does in other modes where she's likely to take extra damage.
But we don't seem to see as much of, I guess, almost like very fast, stompy rounds with Galena. No. Like we definitely saw strenx take a very strong one by himself with just her. But because it requires a lot of those totems to be where you want them to be, that requires quite a lot of cooldown time in between whenever you're placing them in between, right? So you're not going to just, in a minute's time, frag all 3 of them unless you're just being really accurate and they're constantly taking fights with you.
So we're in a position now where the map is currently being changed. So again, because strenx was the one that lost the map, he now has the freedom to choose the map that he wants to choose. But at the same time, you know, everyone's going to be comfortable with every map. But as we've seen already in this tournament, it's some of the times I think it's like personal picks, you know, where Zeron basically went, you know, I want Blood Covenant. Went straight into Blood Covenant. Like, even in the end game stream, he knew exactly what map he wanted to pick. They went straight into it. They wasted no time. But because of that, he essentially just, you know, that one map on Blood Covenant where he wanted it, it was a wash. Like, almost 3 straight rounds. Very dominant performance there.
Of course, but what map do you expect we'll see this time, though? I mean, obviously, there's not a huge amount of maps in total to pick from, so I think regardless, it's, like you said, it's personal picks. So I think it's a bit less likely for someone to not be used to one of the duel maps by now. Consider there's only 4, right? There's only 4 duel maps.
4. It's Corrupted Keep, Blood Run, Blood Covenant, Ruins of Sarnath.
Yeah, so I think it's fair to say that these guys are all used to all of those maps by now, so it's just what they like the most on. One thing particularly, though, is Nitrino with Scalebearer there. The rail wasn't making as much of a difference overall. I mean, obviously, they're still hitting rails every now and then, but do you think we might be seeing that Corrupted Keep choice? Because right now, you know, Galena was where strenx made that amazing play with Galena, and obviously, you know, Blazkowicz on that map is really good. No, Blood Covenant.
Okay. So going back into Blood Covenant, now we're going to see what champions the guys select. strenx again back in with the Galena pick. So clearly very comfortable with this champion. Nitrino, Nyx first, no surprise there. strenx basically going in for a complete identical roster. Now Nitrino, is he going to mix things up?
Well, he's already gone for a Ranger, so he's gone for the same Nyx and Scalebearer. So he's actually gone for a Ranger instead of Visor here, which is quite interesting. But at the same time, strenx...
Well, it's Ranger on Blood Covenant, right? It's a very good map for Ranger, I think.
But one thing that really stands out about strenx's composition, though, is no Nyx and no Anarchy, which isn't something that we tend to see every now and then.
Yeah, it's definitely, I guess, not traditional from what we've seen so far, but it's a unique composition. It's a unique team of characters, and to be honest, the fact that he's in top 16 means that, you know, he clearly knows what's going on. He's got confidence in the champions he picks, and we did see his Galena put in mad work on Ruins of Sarnath, so I'm very excited to see what he pulls out here.
I actually don't think we've seen Galena on Blood Covenant yet.
I think we are yet to. I think we're yet to.
Oh, this is a first. This is a first for this week, especially, at least in the EU. But I'm excited to see it. You know, Galena is always one of those champions that really can bring the excitement, provided you know, you've really set stuff up and you
she's one of my
favourite
champions to watch. I think she's just quite a unique case. You know,
and technical. She's quite technical. You know, she's a bit more complicated beyond just the initial havability, usability. Right? You have to be very intelligent with how you utilise her totems.
The one thing about Galena, though, is the fact that once again, strenx going with Galena first. Her passive and ability do not favour mobility at all. And that's a big thing that normally champions have, either in a passive or an ability, or sometimes both together. Because her passive is about the heals, and her ability itself is the totem, they will not help her navigate the map. She's a tiny bit more limited over some of the paths that she can take, and in these really high-level games, her pathing might become a little bit more predictable because she can physically only make certain routes on these maps. Whereas on the flip side, Nyx is the complete opposite.
There we go, tags that rail from behind. Nitrino put down to quite low health, but already managing to top himself up a little bit. Doesn't take Nyx too long to get back to full HP.
Oh, good reaction there. Really nice reaction just to see him on the staircase. Nitrino did get the heavy armor, but he is so low on HP. That 125 he picked up is going to do a good enough job to get him at least a little bit topped up. strenx being aggressive again, but he's caught down the bomb. Got to be so careful.
Only 50 HP as well. Oh, that rocket could have actually been dead. Caught the railgun, but a little bit too late, so was able to pick up the mega health first.
Now, strenx did actually put the totem on the jump pad. I'm not sure if that was because he actually tried to heal himself at the same time, but either way, using that jump pad is going to be super lethal, but will he have a chance to jump on it? Trying to get away, but on the staircase, the rockets are almost guaranteed and very hard to escape.
Oh, caught the spawn, though. strenx only has his starting machine gun. You can hear it. It goes for the Dire Orb. Nitrino reads it and chases him up with the rocket launcher, but is he still going to die? No, he isn't. Nitrino still able to take out that life bar. And once again, Blazkowicz is left by himself versus Nitrino's lone Nyx, getting so many rounds with just Nyx.
Doing a really good job. I mean, you can see why I think these Russian players favor having Nyx first. She's so useful on maps like this, where, I mean, look at that, right? The double jump to go from the bridge near that armor towards the rocket launcher, pretty much uncontested as well. And the suicide from strenx, either an accident or trying to hit him. Either way, didn't work out, and Nitrino taking the round.
Unfortunate, but you know that kind of thing does happen every now and then, right? You know, even though it was a suicide kill, you know, I mean, rocket launcher was probably his only chance at deleting Nyx in that situation. You know, I mean, she was all over him. Nitrino was there with the LG, just peppering damage constantly. So a mistake, but you know, not completely unbelievable.
Now here we go. strenx going in with Ranger actually first this time, not going in with Galena first. I think against Nyx, that's a really good call because Nyx can navigate this map so freely. I think Ranger can almost sort of contest with how fast she can move around, especially seeing as the Dire Orb has such a low cooldown as well. I believe it's actually the lowest cooldown of any ability in the game.
Which means you're going to have it a lot more often than you might normally think. But Nitrino with the Ghost Walk, I mean, just like that, as I can say it, cooldown now and a 40-second cooldown on that, so that's not quite as forgiving. But you know, the utility of just being able to guarantee get out of a fight from a distance and not die can be quite useful, to say the least.
Definitely.
Not dying in a Quake 1v1 is somewhat helpful.
Pretty much the most important thing, isn't it, at the end of the day? But actually, strenx. Oh, patiently waiting in a suicide of his own. What an error.
Now that one was a little bit more unfortunate.
Tried to go in for the rocket, but I think strenx just pushing him so far back. Colliding that one, but either way, they're both forced onto Ranger at this point. It's going to be a mirror match again.
He did miss the shot though. Heavy armor goes in the way of strenx though. Nitrino sort of positioning himself a bit more to get the health, but yeah, strenx is here trying to stop him.
Both players actually being really aggressive. Nitrino actually going in for the kill, using his Dire Orb aggressively. So, you know, it's going to be... Normally you'd say it's going to be a while until he has it back, but you just look how quick he's got
less
it back
than 10 seconds.
seconds
Yeah, he almost has it already.
Super
Absolutely
crazy.
Insane.
Either way.
Oh, misses the rail. That could have been important.
He actually opts to teleport to it. Quite a gutsy decision, but it isn't going to pay off with the lightning gun. Tries to go for the rocket and strenx with the cleanup. Teleporting to that Dire Orb, I think, was, you know, definitely like a make or break decision.
Yeah, it was definitely very all in, right? Because if he got that kill, that was it. But unfortunately,
what is it with people killing themselves in this round? What's going on? 1-1.
To be fair, he did it via a scale barrel that was running at him very fast, with immense speed.
That does make a lot of sense. I mean, that was. I don't think I've seen so many suicides in a round, though. Either way, it's going to be 1-1.
Well, back to sort of that almost like that Dire Orb teleport heavy armor play was very gutsy because, you know, if he got the kill before, he would be able to steal the armor away, but unfortunately it didn't quite work out for him.
Now, once again, I really think that the Ranger Nyx start is much better for strenx. I totally get the decision. He really needs to sort of compete with that mobility, but it's been helping him out. You know, he's able to get around the map as quickly as Nyx is able to.
Also, it's very different. C2 players being a lot more aggressive to each other in this match. You know, normally today everything's been quite passive, very slow paced, but these guys are content just going in on each other.
It's a mixture of styles at the end of the day. These guys know what's on the line, but at the end of the day, if you've got a really good game plan and you're going to stick to it, confidence to stick with your plan, yeah, that's really important. Nice use of Dire Orb, yeah, trying to beat Nyx to that heavy armor before she has a chance to reappear and take it herself, but he had to really make sure he was going to hit those rails, and unfortunately, Nitrino just a little bit more on the ball with that one.
Ever so slightly off the mark, that's unfortunate, but he's going to lose his Ranger. Nitrino looks like he's already managed to top himself back up again. Yes, indeed, he managed to get that mega health too. Armor's going to bring him back up to maximum of 50, and heavy armor is up in 5 seconds. There could be a fight for it. Watching that rail, misses it, unfortunately.
Actually, strenx kind of like hugging the far left-hand side of that, on his left, I should say. Going in, giving a little bit of top up on the totem right there, so she's going to get a bit alive. But again, the rails, unfortunately, just failing to connect. He was able to sustain himself a little bit longer, but unfortunately, if the rails aren't going to work, then you're kind of just delaying the inevitable with the totem.
Except Nitrino, though, this Nyx being a serious problem, looking very uncontested so far. I mean, even some of these fights are going down to very, very, very low amounts of health, but Nitrino is just doing a great job of sort of just, you know, savoring and holding on to health, right? Even if it gets really low, he tops himself back up to max health, max armor, almost instantly every time.
Oh, what a flick. That was a fantastic shot.
Wow.
And one good shot to another. Nitrino, man, on match point right now.
He's on fire, man. Nitrino is on fire, hungry to qualify for Regionals, man. He's 1 round away from doing so.
That was such a fast reaction, too, because he was prepared for strenx to be going for that heavy armor. But the very millisecond he saw Blazkowicz on the bridge, that flick was one of the fastest we've seen today.
Oh, he's in the zone.
Uh-oh.
He's in the zone. Misses that one, though. No, commentator's curse. But he gets that one. Oh, 3 back-to-back.
I think it's the testament of the heavy armor, but even after 3 rails, that machine gun is going to do the job just like that. strenx now back on Galena, but Nitrino riding so much momentum, catches it again, gets another rocket, make that 3 and 1 champion away. Nitrino is going to move on, and he will be our 3rd placer in this regionals.
Nitrino's Nyx is absolutely ridiculous so far. I mean, these rails and rockets combinations are being just incredible.
It's the gameplay of someone who's really hungry to qualify.
30 seconds, we're just over 30 seconds into this final round, and Nitrino, this is aggression we haven't seen today.
I was just saying, this is gameplay of someone who's really hungry to qualify. He wants to be that 3rd qualifier. only one champion potentially away from him actually doing that, especially with the rampage he's on right now. Looking to be on real top form. He's got the high ground. This is going to be hard. strenx has to get away.
He's going in for the kill, and he does! Wow, that final rocket is all he needs to get it through. Wow, Nitrino on fire.
That was a really well-played match by Nitrino. I mean, it just, as each round went on, I just feel like he started to sort of almost feel himself a little bit more and more, to the point where in that final round, it was just 3 champions straight in basically like a minute's time. But he will be our 3rd qualifier for the regionals for EU, deciding who's going to actually make it to the Quake World Championship at QuakeCon. So he can almost like, you know, he can almost sort of sit pretty now. He knows that he's got the comfort to just wait while the rest of his competition is now trying to qualify in the other 3 weeks. He can practice in his own time, and he can study the rest of the competition.
I like how we're almost getting to a point now, though, that some of these more successful players today are really starting to shine with specific champions, right? Even though they do seem good with like an overall team, they have that first pick, and they seem so confident. Like, you know, Nitrino on Nyx, Noctis on Anarchy, you know, Dron, Ranger. Like, you mean, that 1 HP survival was pretty clutch.
Absolutely. As you can see right here, just Ruins of Sarnath was a really good match for Nitrino, but I think the second the map went to Blood Covenant, he really started to come online, I think. And just like that mid-air, like some of these really clutch shots that just did the magical amount of damage he needed, like right here as well, sitting among 2 totems that gave him health, and it still wasn't enough because Nitrino just was on the ball with his rails. That right there was really unfortunate as well.
I mean, that was 191 damage straight away. 100 charge, 91 rocket, immediately followed up. And then that suicide was most unfortunate because he shot it right before he just got railed, and that was another one. Yeah, but that was Scalebearer's fault, really, if you think about it.
It was point blank. He body blocked it and kept it from going, but that was a really good shot as well. That last minute flick, and he got the rocket. But actually, it's just a really good demonstration, I think, of just how well Nitrino played this map. I mean, he tanked 3 rails here. I mean, even before that replay, there was another rail before that as well. So although the Galena pick didn't quite work out, I'm sort of happy that we saw a little bit of champion variety. And again, no doubt that we're going to see strenx again in coming weeks.
Oh yeah, and I feel we'll almost be saying that at the end of every series, but it really does reign true. This is week 1 of 4.
I just saw our next match.
4 total weeks for these guys to qualify. You know, if you lose this week, unfortunate, but you know, obviously better luck next time. You will be able to see them again.
Week number 1, you've got plenty of time. You know, you've got plenty of time. If you don't quite make it this week, you've got 3 other events that you can take part in. And coming up next, Rel versus Agent.
Ooh.
We will be seeing Agent once again, no doubt. This is looking to be a pretty good match as well, on paper at least. So while we get this match underway, we're going to go for a quick break, but don't go anywhere because we will be right back.